Hi there, welcome to URBINARY, the podcast cataloging the everyday and extraordinary in the city.
Hey everyone, and a warm welcome back to URBINARY. I'm Vanshikha, and today I'm joined by my co host Netal. We are delving deep into the realm of smart cities, and we are absolutely thrilled to have Gloriana Barboza joining us. Gloriana is an architect and an urban planner hailing from Costa Rica in Central America, who brings over the 5 years of professional experience in the field of mobility planning. We are eager to hear her insights, especially given her background as an alumna of Politecnico di Milano.
Absolutely, Vanshika. Gloriana's work in field is truly remarkable. It will be fascinating to learn from her extensive professional journey and how it interacts with our theoretical understanding and real-world experiences.
Indeed, Gloriana's transition from practicing architecture in her home country to focusing on broader urban strategies into a professional practice here in Milan is quite intriguing. She is an expert mobility planner leading diverse international projects, and she supports innovative ideas to give sustainable mobility solutions which is accessible to all. She comes with a great communicative methods to present urban issues in a meaningful manner. Hello Gloriana, it's pleasure to have you on Urbinary.
URBINARY.
Today's episode is going to be on smart cities, and I know, Gloriana, that you are extensively working on smart city projects and innovation in cities. So, how would you define smart cities? I watched a very interesting talk by Paula Kwan about the true meaning of smart cities, and that she said that picture of the world where cars fly across the sky, where robots run our homes effortlessly, and we are finding parking is not an issue because cars fold up into a briefcase. Have you come across something which sounds familiar to you around working for so many years in the field of mobility planning? Tell me if you completely disagree with this idea of smart city.
Well, hello, Vanshika, and hello, Netal. First of all, thank you so much for the invitation and for the warm welcome and the introduction. I'm really excited actually to be here and be part of this platform, especially one that I see is curated by students like I once was and like you are. It's nice that I think Poliradio is providing a platform and a voice for individuals to come and share thoughts with each other and with the world. So thanks again. To come back to your question, I think that what you are describing is still a very futuristic view of a city. It actually brings to mind a very famous cartoon that I grew up with, and I know even my parents grew up with in the 60s and 70s, which is called The Jetsons. And it essentially gave a glimpse of what that generation at the time saw the 21st century city as, which of course we know is not what we live in and it's not the reality of our time, although there are elements of this. You know, we see autonomous vehicles, we see flying taxis, we see some of these elements. But of course the cities are not like this. So I guess for me, when I think of a smart city, it's really more about improving people's quality of life. And in terms of what I do, which is mobility planning, it's about also facilitating movements within the city, all through the use of the correct use of technology.
In a right way, yes. When we ask common people on what they think about smart cities, their idea is security, camera, or is it surveillance outside our homes or down the streets. Let me tell you, when I Googled this morning and I saw what it really means, but I really observed openness and an ambiguity associated with this phenomena of smart city concept. One potential downside is that one size fits all approach to smart city development has overlooked the unique characteristics, needs, and priorities of individual cities. And also, too much use of information technology to solve the problems has led to or could also lead to the misuse of technology.
Absolutely right. The push for universal smart city concept has given priority to use of technology visible and more fancy high profile projects over essential but less glamorous infrastructure improvements.
Nathan has spoken the correct nerve. Let me ask you, Gloriana, do you think technology is a means and not a goal to solve the problem to make cities smarter, or is it really true that technology is the or the front runner of smart city concept?
So I think definitely technology is more of a means and not necessarily a goal to solve the problems of a city. Technology is an excellent tool that can help us ease movements, that can help us, make better transitions, organize better, but it's not and shouldn't be the goal because, like you mentioned, there are a lot of other issues within a city that need to be resolved in a way before even introducing technology.
What insights and reflections can you share based on your extensive experience working on the Smart City project over the years? And on continuation to that, I would also like to ask what aspects of developing smart solutions for mobility planning do you find most interesting or challenging as a mobility planner?
Well, I think you touched on this a little bit when you mentioned that a lot of what defines a smart city is based on this one size fits all idea. And what I found in my experience is that no city is the same. Cities are very different. They are composed of different cultures, different geographical elements, different climates. And so I think in my work, it's really about understanding the needs of a population and how to help that population achieve certain goals. That's also, I think, one of the challenges as well. No, is that we need to understand first the needs of a very particular group of people, very particular needs, and then try to develop strategies to improve their life. We all need access to basic services, basic needs, and something else that I think is an important element is, you know, to develop smart cities that are also resilient. I think one of the challenges you also as future planners will face is climate change, and all the unknowns, pandemics, for example. These are all elements that we need to try to plan for in a way, but it's very challenging, of course, because there are so many unknowns. But a smart city should also be resilient, it should be adaptable, and it should, evolve as the time goes on and different challenges arrive.
Okay, so tell me if you agree with me or if you don't, if I say that the concept of smart city is still evolving and progressing, and we still need to think very strategically when it comes to the applicability of this concept across different geographical contexts. If we take our eyes on other side of the coin, we can see that the megacities in the global south are still underrepresented and are struggling with the issues of socio-economic disparity, environmental problems, where technology is just a means, and we are saying it again and again in this talk. The problem of poverty and issues of affordable living solution is still a problem of a common man. So, do you think that smart city is just a dream, or do you think we need to unlearn our own ideas to make better livable cities?
I think these dynamics are certainly very complex, and there are a lot of elements and moving parts to a city. I think it's important to first clarify the fundamentals, the fundamental needs of a city or a population before we try to solve them, because it can be challenging and it can really put a strain on urban planners, on policymakers to find the right solution. Otherwise, I mean, it can be very easy to create a smart city that is just a dream instead of a dream city, if you would.
You really gave an interesting turn to this conversation, Gloriana. Since you talked about a dream city, I would like to take up this conversation straight to the research project which me and Netal are doing since a year now. We both come from India, and the idea of living in luxury and having a city which has walkways, sidewalks, digitally accessible solutions, quality of services, perfect infrastructure, hydraulic parking solutions, and the list goes on. Smart city is still a dream project to be realized in every corner of the city.
Our urban diversity is challenging and very complex to understand. In 2015, the Government of India proposed Smart City Mission policy and selected over 100 cities across the country. Now, if you look after 8 years of initiation, we were successful with many of cities which are quickly adapted to vision of becoming smart, and there has substantial improvement in urban infrastructure systems, upgraded roads and better public spaces. But the smartness being promised is not matching people's actual needs and demand in mega cities of India like Delhi.
As Nathal rightly pointed out, after taking efforts towards developing as smart cities, no single city has been able to implement all the attributes in India. However, societies have decided to go ahead because of greater advantages as well as the necessity of smart systems for ensuring a quality of life for the people. So, again, coming back to Gloriana, the revolution of upcoming smart cities would thus be one of the holistic movements. What do you think on that?
I think on this, it would be great if there was a large wave of transformation that comes over the world and all the cities are able to implement smart systems. But like we've been saying, it's challenging and difficult to do this in many places because, of geographical conditions, climates, different ecosystems, the availability even of different resources, all pose major challenges. So in a way, you know, integrating pilot projects, for example, that start small and then can then grow is an interesting approach in my view, and maybe one that is more manageable for many countries, particularly in developing countries like mine, for example. Yeah, but we know that, of course, there are many countries that have also rolled out much larger plans for for smart city implementation as well.
But as you mentioned that smart cities vary from country to country depending upon geographical conditions, ecosystems, resource availabilities, and major challenges being faced. Don't you think that smart cities need to have a place based perspective spelled clearly in its definition? Let me tell you why I am saying this. Because smart city or smart cities are the terms which often throw around the world. Many people truly don't understand the true meaning of it. While we might truly have slightly a futuristic conception of our imagination in some ways, but smart cities are a bit more down to earth than that, but no less impressive and no less necessary in driving us into the future. And this is where we are trying to bring down our research study as well to establish or include a place based approach in smart city concept.
I agree to what Vanshika mentioned. The concept is super ambiguous, and the need of time is to establish the utility of this concept to include a place based perspective. I believe this conversation is going in a progressive way as we've spoken to explore, answer, or streamline our thoughts onto a common plane. While our perspective may diverge or even oppose each other, we are actively engaging in a dialogue to give this conversation a better shape, advocating our viewpoints with clarity and inching closer to understanding, if not outright agreements. I would like to also ask one question to Gloriana. Can you define what place-based approach mean to you, or given a chance, how would you reframe the definition of smart city which integrate place-based approach? This is open question. You can take your time to put your thoughts together.
Well, I think also throughout this conversation, several definitions and approaches to smart city concept have come up, no? From, let's say, the more traditional, very high tech, very futuristic concept to perhaps a more contemporary approach where we link innovation and sustainability to, arriving at this concept that consists of a more holistic approach that encompasses more of a human and socially centered foundation. So where we are trying to say that it should be based on local evidence that in some way places the individuals at the center of urban policy. This may be people-based innovation or city-based approach. In my opinion, I would describe it or define it as, a smart city should be looked at as a forward-thinking urban development concept that adopts more comprehensive and integrated approaches, but always prioritizing the well-being and needs of its inhabitants, of its population. It should definitely revolve more around a human and socially centered foundation, but, in a way also emphasizing the importance of local and cultural insights to help inform this urban policy. So at its core, a smart city should be a place where the individual is at the center of the planning and decision-making process. I wouldn't disregard the use of technology. Again, I think it's very important, but having some fundamental pillars or principles that can then be adapted to different countries, to different cities is key.
This definition, what you just said, Gloriana, I think aptly captures the essence of what smart cities should strive to achieve in today's rapidly evolving urban landscapes. The transitioning from its initial high tech focus to a more holistic and people centered approach is the whole point of today's talk. By emphasizing the importance of local evidence and placing individuals at the center of urban policy, your definition clearly takes up to the creation of more inclusive and sustainable cities that caters to the actual needs and demands and the well-being of their inhabitants.
Even I wouldn't deny that the shift in perspective not only acknowledge the importance of rightful use of technology advancement, but also recognize the fundamental role of human experiences and social dynamics in shaping urban environment for creating the better smart cities.
Urbinary.
So, as our conversation comes to a close, I would like to express my gratitude for the insightful exchange. Gloriana, what valuable insights or learnings do you intend to carry with you from today's talk?
Urbinary.
Very well said, and I would like to thank you for joining us today, Gloriana. And for our listeners, stay tuned for our next episode with Sheetsa and Bahar, who will be conversing with Carolina. In the upcoming episode, we will shift our focus once again, having two episodes focusing on the governance aspect of urban planning. In the first one, Sheetsa, together with Bahar, will highlight the preservation challenges and modernist echoes, balancing histories and progress in Tashkent, Uzbekistan, focusing on the urban heritage. Urbinary is produced in collaboration with Poliradio and the official radio channel at Politecnico di Milano.
Urbinary, the podcast cataloging the everyday and extraordinary in the city.